Hey, I'm Duke on Twitch. If you want to support the channel and greensunzenith.com, you can find my Patreon, merch store, and singles store where you can buy singles through TCG Player or Card Hoarder in the video description. If you want to get in contact, you can also find all that info in the description below for things like donation deck lists or just wanting to reach out. Alright, let's get right into it.
Yo, hey team, welcome back to Dukes on Twitch. Back today with Abzan Mav, which I did want to put a bit of time into going forward. There's obviously a few other players playing with other archetypes of Maverick and doing really well, but I feel like Abzan might need some love. So I'm very keen to see how it performs. Obviously with the Black Splash, you're getting cards like Orcish Bowmaster in the main deck, Grist, and then in the sideboard cards like Thoughtseize, which is nice. I really want to play around with Scythecat Cub as well. I think Cub is pretty sweet for both Ramunap and Renegade Rallier. Obviously Ramunap getting back your land drops to trigger it, Renegade Rallier to get back cards like Bowmaster and Cub, so probably a little bit greedy to play both, but here we are. I also went with the 5 mana dork split of 1 bird, 2 Hierarch, 2 Hierarch. But in the past, I haven't been a big fan of Birds of Paradise, mainly because it doesn't attack, which sounds like a pretty small thing, but I think now I've got to the stage where the mana is just valuable, and making sure I have access to, say, black mana on turn 2 instead of having a Noble Hierarch in play is pretty vital. Also making sure I can get black mana by not fetching a black source, because there are definitely times against decks like Death and Taxes where mid-game you find out you actually have no black sources left, so to have another copy of Birds is nice. I like the split of Thalia and Bowmaster as kind of my like early blue hate. I'm also playing both Ouphe and Teeg, so you can see a lot of double ups here in terms of like Teeg and Ouphe, Ramunap and Renegade Rallier, just to really find my bearings on what right now is better positioned and if potentially some go to the board. Speaking of the board, I've been a big fan of at least wanting Carpet of Flowers recently against a lot of the blue, black and Delver decks. So I think Carpet, to allow me to put spells onto the field, is much better than Choke, which in a lot of recent times has been a case of casting Choke with threats on board and then not being able to answer the threats and just dying anyway. So I think Carpet just allowing me to do a bit more of what I want to do instead of trying to stop my opponent from what they want to do is probably the better situation right now. Leyline, I think, is just the best catch-all graveyard hate at the moment. And coming down turn 0 means we then have some time to apply extra pressure with different threats and pieces of disruption. Kaya Orzhov Usurper. This is one that hasn't seen a play in a long time, but I do think it's pretty decent against Delver and a few other just smaller matchups. I wanted to find something where I could answer Tamiyo even once she flipped without putting too much resource into it. And Kaya is pretty cool because it does maybe answer a Nethergoyf or keep their graveyard at bay. So I think Kaya could be pretty cool. We'll see how this goes. Thoughtseize and Deafening Silence really just to make sure that we don't die turn 1 to combo. And Thoughtseize, just why I have three copies is I think it comes in against a few more matchups, and also just that turn 1 known information I think is really powerful for a deck like Maverick, which does want to sequence which creatures you get onto the board first, which lands you play. Is wastelanding my opponent more important than me actually building out my mana? And Thoughtseize is a great way to understand that, because if I Thoughtseize my opponent and they have 2 Brainstorms, 5 lands, and I'm on a pretty heavy wasteland play, I'd probably rather get threats into play and then wasteland later on in the game. So yeah, Thoughtseize is really cool. Dismember and Path, obviously Path hitting everything from Atraxa to Murktide to Stoneforge and Mother of Runes if you really need to, but Dismember just a little bit of respect for mono red and especially Harbinger of the Tides out of the blue decks. So just wanted to have some sort of answer there, but having the carpets against Harbinger is also quite nice. We'll see how that goes. Scryb Ranger, no Mother of Runes, but I still think pretty solid, especially with the Cub in the deck as well, as just a way to get extra triggers. Yeah, like I would say, Endurance right now is kind of the green Force of Will. So I did want to have more copies, but it's just trying to find space. So we'll see how this goes. Yeah, that's about it. Legacy League, Abzan, gameplay. Sato San, hope you're doing well. Always a pleasure seeing you. I really enjoyed your little write-up on your latest leagues, especially with Hidden Gibbons and Sheltered by Ghosts. Sheltered by Ghosts is a card that I actually really wanted to put in this list, but it's just so hard finding space sometimes. All right, we're on the play, and not a bad hand. Like turn 1, we have Surveil Land or Swords. Turn 2, Thalia, followed up by Wasteland. We have Ramunap and Wasteland, so this is pretty much a 6 with the extra Thalia, but pretty happy to see how it unfolds. So sequencing here is pretty big, because let's say our opponent is on a Moon deck and they go turn 1 Magus. Well, if we play the Windswept Heath, we can fetch for basic planes and then swords, and then untap, get it probably just to play basic forest, play Thalia. But if we play the Verdant, we can't get a basic planes off this to answer something like a turn 1 Magus. So I think here I'm happy to start on the Windswept Heath and then get the Surveil Land if nothing happens. And then we have the Verdant to get a basic forest if we really need it, if we are up against a Moon deck. Nethergoyf, okay. I think this threat, so I could, if I wanted to, draw out a Daze with the swords. The question is, how much do we care about this? Because if we take the turn off, it's a little bit... I think I'm actually happy to play into Daze. So let's go... Well, now, there's a bunch of things to think about here. Do we just want to get basics and play around Wasteland ourselves, just get down the forest and the plains? If we draw into a Bowmaster, it's a little bit tricky, because if we go plains here, draw into Bowmaster, get a Bayou. If they say deal with the Bowmaster and then Wasteland our Bayou, we're left with just a plains, which is a little bit awkward. I think I'd rather just play into Wasteland. Okay. Happy to fetch the Bayou, so we have 2 green sources. And then next turn, if they say tab out for Tameo, we get to slam the Ramunap potentially. So this is their graveyard. They play a Wasteland, interesting. There's a few things we can do here. We could play the Ramunap this turn. We could also go for Green Suns for 1. Obviously, they can Wasteland us to grow the Nethergoyf, so we don't want to do that. I think I'm pretty happy to get down. Yeah, I think it's the Ramunap. It really puts pressure on them to have an answer for the Ramunap. Even though best case is play it and then get a land back the same turn, I think getting it down this turn and really putting pressure on is where I want to be. And say if they Wasteland us, they then can't Fatal Push the Ramunap because of the mana. So this is fine. We get to double Wasteland here. Yeah. So let's... Yeah. Wasteland first. Play Wasteland. Play another Thalia. Wasteland again. And now we have the fetch land for Surveil with the Ramunap, which is really nice. We know they can't ponder, brainstorm, fatal push. So it might just be Tamiyo off the Underground Sea. Wow. Pretty happy to hit this. We're gonna float blue. Blue floating. Okay. I honestly don't, at this stage, I don't mind attacking with both, and then just before damage we can swords, or 4 blockers, we can get rid of this. Just close out this game before they can, before they can get anywhere. Okay, so we are up against a blue-black deck. So the carpets seem fantastic. Seeing the Nethergoyf and most likely Tamiyo, I think this is a great chance to see how Gaea performs. The Path and the Dismember. I usually quickly go to my bears, so it's like Gaddock Teeg, not really want to be Outland Liberator, not really want to be Collector Ouphe, boom. That's 3, that's pretty easy to cut. Karakas, I think is still relevant because it can just potentially hit a Tamiyo, which is nice. And against a Wasteland blue deck, I'm not a big fan of cutting down on my lands, so definitely happy to take out these 3. We are on the draw, so a little bit slower. So the plan for me is really make my land drops or sources of mana. Obviously keep a hand with some sort of removal. So I think cards like these are obviously fantastic in the matchup. The Endurance seems great, especially with Nethergoyf. Like it could just be a knight, just a trim there. And it could also be like, if we take out the bird, then we have 2 carpets coming in as well. So we don't want to get too flooded in this capacity. And at least each of these can attack, which is relevant because they are most likely a Tamiyo deck. So I think something like this is more than fine. Probably not in like the Thoughtseize kind of situation, although they do typically keep a lot of cards in hand throughout the game. But I'm pretty happy just to see how this goes. A little bit more removal, a little bit more help with our mana. And this is a tough one because this is a fine hand. It does exactly what I want to do. I want to be able to build up my mana. We can do that through basics early on. We have some interaction with the Windswept Heath. Obviously Endurance is pretty good as well. So the one thing it doesn't have is removal. And as your Maverick deck, you don't really have the opportunity to know when you're going to draw into it through cantrips. So you can definitely have matches where you keep a hand like this thinking there's so much removal in the deck, we're going to draw into it, but then you actually just don't even see it. So I think because we're already up against a black deck with most likely Thoughtseize, I'm happy just to keep this because it does have a plan. Turn 1 Acceleration, turn 2 Knight. We don't have to worry about Lightning Bolt, which is great. So the Knight can come down even as a 2/2. And a Ponder start is exactly what we want with this hand because we don't have removal for an actual threat. So if they're trying to set up, then I think our best draw is probably Once Upon a Time into Wasteland or Wasteland just to kind of reset. Okay. I'm going to keep the fetches because I really want to get to 3 mana as soon as possible. I don't want to lose the Ignobled and then lose a jewel. So we're just going to play the Forest into Ignobled, which is a pretty obvious hit for something like a Bowmaster. But at least then we get to untap, play a fetch land, get a Surveil land, untap, play Knight. Okay, they're going to go Tamiyo. Interesting. Thalia is pretty good. A little bit awkward here is that we can't do most likely the best play, which is Thalia and Surveil land because we don't currently have white mana on the board. So we do need to play a white land. Which I think here is just going to be off the plains. Okay, so they have no brainstorm in hand. I guess if they had a brainstorm, they might have done it last turn. But now we can just 6, which is kind of nice. The Exalted with Thalia as well helps against Tamio's tick up if she does flip. But I assume we see probably the first thing they do is attack with Tamio, get the clue. Surely this isn't a ninjutsu? Oh, it is a ninjutsu. Interesting. Alright, so this planeswalker is a legendary creature right now. Very interesting. So it's a legendary creature right now. They're going to tap down the Thalia. So an exalted creature off the top would be pretty sweet. Okay. That's pretty interesting. That'll at least get the Kaito off the field. So let's go land. The Thalia is there. Okay. The Thalia is there, but it's nice because it means they can't actually counter anything because they can't pay for, say, a Force of Will or Force Negation. So let's go for a Savannah. I'm just going to go for another Ignobled. And then combat. Attack Kaido. The real power of Green Sun's there, and that it just allows us to change our tracks a little bit and getting rid of the Kaido. And pretty perfect mana as well, like 1 to pay for the Thalia, 3 mana in play, attacking with an exalted creature. Grixis. Interesting. Okay. Pretty interesting. We can double spell this turn, which is kind of nice. I could get rid of the clue if I really wanted to. Get rid of the clue, play a big threat. It'd be so cool if we had access to Scryb Ranger, because Scryb Ranger allows us to, I believe, untap the Thalia. So we could endurance them and then block with first strike. Or block with first strike, deal first strike, endurance them. I guess you could endurance first to make sure that they don't have removal for the Thalia. But a few things to think about here. We get to double spell around days, which is nice. 3/3 actually. Yes, very true. The Thalia does tax the Kai. So I think here we just want to go 1, 2, 3. Play the Knight, hold up the endurance. I'm not too scared of a Murktide with just 1 Ponder in the list, so, or at least in the graveyard, sorry. I kind of want to see if they play a Play a Tamio and try to flip it, because obviously that's a great hit for the endurance. Yeah, it's a great point, Mitsol. I was trying to think of a way to, like, even if they had like a Bowmaster, take out the creature, but yeah, that's a great point. Interesting. So they are going to be Grixis. Well, there's a really nice hit with the Gaea. Once. Probably not blocking, but at the same time, an attack here isn't doing a whole lot. I think our best find is probably Grist at this stage. They have one card in hand. Keeping the Ignoble Hierarch to green suns for Grist around days. Attack the Kaido. I think the Kai's done enough. Okay. So a fair few interactive spells. Get the Lush. Put that in the graveyard. And tap. Ooh, it's a 5/6. Is there a world I could block with First Strike and then Dismember? Or is that too greedy? I think I also have the chance to once into Grist, because Grist is a creature spell. Interesting. I think it's a question of, if I get rid of the Baragoyf, how do I win the game? And I don't want to play the Bowmaster here because I want to play this Dismember around days. I don't think they've had a... Ah, we don't, of course, the Thoroughly Attacks keeps getting me. That is pretty funny. All right, so we want to go boom, boom. Just remember this. Pay 1, pay 2, pay life, pay life. No? Okay. It is Dismember, and then it must be pay, pay, pay 2. There we go. Ooh, okay. That's a pretty big win. But it's only the start. At least we got the Goif off the field. Barrogoyf really tough. I did want to try to... Okay. I did want to try to have it in my deck as well, but I just found it really tough to fit in. Ooh, nice. I think we're just going to fire this off now. And then start attacking. Interesting. Maybe they're going to crack the clue? No, because then they can't do anything under the Thalia. I think just in response here, we're going to play this Bowmaster. Hit them. Right. Yeah, the Goif's pretty sweet. An endurance would be great. Tamio, sure. Swords. I think here I'm just happy to attack with the clue token. Yeah, Mav definitely has a soft spot in all our hearts. Okay. I'm just going to keep this as an unknown. I also don't mind attacking with everything here. Five cards for my opponent. It's always interesting to think with the Once Upon a Time where we chose the Orcish Bowmaster, how Ooze or Ramunap would have gone in this position. Molten Collapse. Okay. Still happy to attack with both in case they have removal for one. I don't want to put everything into Exalted and then they just deal with the one threat. Which makes me want to actually play a Verdant now because we have Dryad Arbor as an additional source of damage. we did have Dryad Arbor as an additional source of damage. We're also at 6. I didn't realize that. I'm still pretty happy here to get Dryad Arbor out of the deck. Even though it does nothing in the face of Tamiyo and Wasteland. Oh, do you know what would be so good here? Cub. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Interesting. Six cards is a lot. There's one force down. Interesting. I think we'll try it for Bowmaster. Yeah, Sheltered by Ghosts is a great answer for Tamiyo. Okay. Well, we potentially have Bowmaster as an out. With how many cards they have, I'm torn between Thoughtseize, but I don't think there's enough cards that I want to take out. Unless I went down on Mana Acceleration. Like went down on like one of each Hierarch for 2 Thoughtseize. Just have a bit more control over what they can play. So I get 1 look here. Oh, that's actually it. Okay. I think I will. I think I'll go down on 1 each and bring in 2 Thoughtseize. I think I'm actually just going to take out a Green Suns and bring in a Knight because I really want more threats and I don't really have, say, 1 Green Suns target that I really want to go after. Like it's probably Renegade Rallier in the mid to late game, and by then, you know, I should have at least seen one. Okay. Happy to keep this. So let's start with once. Probably going to go with the Grist. Fetch up a Bayou. And play the Ignobled. Next turn, most likely Thalia Wasteland. Thalia Wasteland offline. Okay. Well, then it's probably Thalia and attack to play a little bit around days. Man, Force. That makes me think they don't have something like a Bowmaster. So it's a pretty easy answer to Thalia. That's pretty good. Okay. Sure. Two colors that don't cast it. Okay, that's pretty nice. That's pretty nice, but on top. I think if they remove the Scryb here, I'm happy to return the Lush. Maybe not. Maybe just one more turn. Maybe I want to play this Bowmaster around days. So we'll play the Cradle out. think in this case, I just want to hold the Bowmaster. Ooh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty good as well. Well, that actually did nothing. All right. I think it's the red that I care about. Like if they have like an op agent, they have an op agent. I can't really play around flash threats at this stage. Okay. Oh, that's it? Nice. Hit this. Play this. Nice. Let's take out the Fatal Push. Ponder. And then don't forget to return the Lush. Okay. It is a pretty sweet planeswalker. Alright. Untap this, return this. Ooh. Daddy's home. Nice. Wasteland. Take out the Badlands, take them off red. Land. Take out this. Attack with all. They have 1 mana up. Second main play of the night. Nice. Nice. Very cool to get there against Grixis. A lot of removal, a lot of efficient threats, but sometimes a 1/1 just gets there. Boydo, what's happening? Good to see you. Look, we won the first match, which we're always happy about. Grixis, a bit of a slog. Probably a matchup I would actually enjoy playing a lot of because there's just a lot of interaction. You have to be pretty cautious of how you use your removal because you can't just throw it off at everything. Like I don't think I'd ever Swords a Bowmaster. And Barrogoyf and Nethergoyf just really yeah, really impressive. Cling to Dust. Cling to Dust is a very cool card. Cling to Dust is 1 black instant. Remove target card from a graveyard. If it is a land card, draw a card. If not, you gain life. If it's a creature, you gain life, and then flashback for 4. Cling to Dust. Exile target card from a graveyard. If it was a creature card, you gain 3. Otherwise, you draw a card. Okay, cool. And then escape is exile 5 other. Interesting. Yeah, nice. Evan, you got it. I applaud. Have there been any cool cards for D&T lately? I assume black is kind of still there, like Emperor Bones. Emperor Bones in Australian 7-point Highlander. Last weekend there was Nationals, like 160 players, and Emperor Bones was probably MVP of that format. So good. Cling should be white rather than black. That's like Leovold. Leovold should have been Abzan. I can't emphasize that enough, how good that timeline would have been. Black is performing really well in Emperors. Cool. Days should be white. Days should be white, but it should still stay Return an Island. I had a look at a few cards. I had a look at Sarkhan. Oh, Surak, sorry. This card I thought was pretty interesting. So 3 mana, 4/3, trample, can't be countered. Whenever a creature you control or creature spell you control becomes a target of a spell or ability and opponent controls, draw a card. Pretty cool. Can save it with Karakas. Sorry, can save it with Karakas, which is kind of nice. Kind of like a small Leovold, but a lot easier on mana. But it's just obviously hard to find that space. Doesn't really like hate out like one specific archetype. I think Leovold should have been Abzan. It has Abzan written all over it. Taxing, like a little bit of draw card, which I guess is blue, but what could have been? I feel like someone did a mock-up and it just looked... Where is it? No, I've lost it. Oof. Deathrite, Stoneforge, Leovold, Force Ponder Days. God damn. On the play with not the worst hand. I don't mind this. It has access to all our colors other than green currently, which is a little bit awkward. So we'd have to find a green source off the once, but I don't really want to find an extra green card, or sorry, an extra land off the once upon a time. I'm pretty happy to mull this. Okay, what if we put back the Dryad Arbor? We then have turn 2 Thalia off a fetch land, and then we have Endurance Grist. Pretty happy to keep this. Keep the Talons as well. This is probably a situation where I would love to have a second copy of the Surveil lands. Just so I could get the Underground Mortuary. Boyd, I don't know if you know about these lands, but this is the cycle. So the land enters tapped, it's a forest and a plains, and you get to Surveil 1. Which is pretty great. In Highlander, I would say it's probably one of the best printings in a long time. So if you have nothing to do, you can end step, go and have a look at the top card of your library. And if you like it, keep it on top. If not, put it at the bottom. It's nice. I guess with the Talons, I do get to make black mana, so I might actually keep this on top. Play the Karakas. I could also just play Talons and hide the Karakas. Just because maybe my opponent has... If my opponent sees the Karakas, they might either counter this because they know they can't remove it, or they might keep it around thinking they can remove it. I also really wanted to play Thrun in the sideboard because Thrun is my favorite card of all time. being Thrun the last troll, but there is a new Thrun in town. Thrun, Breaker of Silence, 5 mana, 5/5, can't be countered, can't be the target of non-green spells, can't be the target of non-green sources your opponents control, indestructible on my turn. Pretty sweet. Oh, they're a Daze deck. Okay. I kind of hope they go land Tameo. They played a fetch though, which is interesting. Okay, this makes me just want to play Cub into land. Which is obviously a little bit awkward against the Daze deck, but if they want a Daze again, I don't really mind. And honestly, if this eats a swords, I'm not too unhappy either. I believe you're right, Evan. Yes, I believe that is Phyrexia. Interesting, so they're going to be a Bant style deck. Okay. A land here would probably be what I'm looking for. And a land I get. This resolving would be pretty huge. I wonder if they have like a prismatic ending or a leyline binding to get rid of it. Maybe Wrath of the Skies down the line. Opponent obviously respecting it. Okay. Nadu. That makes a lot of sense. I assume here it's the blue-green Surveil. Wow, just playing it out willy-nilly. I kind of want to tap like this so I can hold up, draw a card. Great Staple Sag. Nice. Does look pretty sweet. Okay. That's nice. They've only cast one Ponder, so no Brainstorm. So the Bowmaster could do a little bit of work here, hopefully. And then, yeah, big congrats to Sam, Infect All-Star from Europe, who, yeah, I was watching them this morning. Okay, we can potentially win here, because we get to potentially draw into a green card and hit the Dread Return. The Memories Journey. Wait, sorry, what's the combo? Oh, they must have an Oracle in hand? No, but then they can't draw a card. What are they doing? What is happening here? So all I can see that matters is that they have a Memories Journey. But... ah, the Dread Return's in their hand. We wouldn't have got there. Do I want to... oh, okay, do I want a Swords or eat something now? That's pretty interesting. Like, do I want to take out an Oracle? Or do I want to hold up the Endurance? I need to understand how they win. So here we see one Oracle, one Memories Journey. They're probably the two cards that we care about. They obviously can't cast the Dread Return, and it doesn't look like they have a Cabal Therapy either to be able to Cabal Therapy themselves. They can't even Brainstorm put it back. So wait, what happens if we eat the Memories Journey right now? Yeah, I think it's just eat Journey now. I always think they have something else up their sleeve. One Force, 2 Force, 3 Force. Okay. We will eat Memories Journey. Whew. Yeah, it's very true. That is very true. I just for some reason thought that like maybe there's a world where they don't play Dread Return and their plan is just to like go off and then untap and Memories Journey, but obviously not. I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick. You can let me know how you would sideboard for this matchup. Put these over here. I'll be back in a second. Yo. All right. I don't mind the Gaea. I don't mind the Dismember and the Path. The Thought Seizers are pretty interesting. Like, Teeg stops, Dread Return, but that's about it. Collector Ouphe, not really where I want to be. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'll worry about the Force of Vigors and Ley Lines. I like the Carpets over 1 and 1. Maybe I actually, yeah. I don't want to keep in the boat just because of Teferi. Thalia, Bowmaster, Liberator. Can probably go down on a Cub or 2. This might not be where I want to have Cub. Ramunap's pretty strong. Yeah, maybe like cut on Thalia. I do like the thought of Thoughtseize. Maybe the Carpets aren't. Maybe just 1. I really love the Thoughtseize. Yeah, I'll see how this goes. I don't mind having access to 1 Thalia. Okay. Very interesting hand. Like the Carpet and the Thoughtseize obviously kind of rely on each other. And I wonder if they don't go for dual lands early on. Thalia in 2025 is a choice. I don't want to say we're up a game. Let's keep it because that's not a great way of thinking. The hand has some interruption with Thoughtseize if the Carpet resolves, and that's against a Daze deck. The Wastelands could be great, but this is also against a deck that can just play on basics. I think I'm happy to take a mulligan towards a hand with a bit more of a plan like this. Double Bowmaster is quite nice. Dropping the Dryad Arbor. We still have Wasteland as interaction. We have Wasteland and Ramunap if the game gets there. Okay. If I draw a land off the top, I'm pretty happy just resetting the game here. But if not, I think the Wasteland's just a little bit too important for us. They also didn't shuffle, so... Okay. Would love to just see like a Surveil land. Perfect. Very nice. Oh, they put a Swords in the bin. Wow. Yo, hey, always home. Very cool to see you. Hope you're doing well. The games are good. The games are always good, my friend. Let's go for Bayou into Dryad Arbor. That allows us to draw Wasteland off the top and be able to Wasteland and Bowmaster. Hey Eureka, welcome. Doing very well, thank you. It's nice to be set up in our place, new office. Just re-sleeved my Depths deck, triple sleeve, with some really cool, like old school, I don't know if you've seen these ones. Like they're the old booster packs and their sleeves, but they look really cool. I used ones from the Dark. I think here we play the Karakas, and then we just go for Bowmaster, holding up Karakas. They can't double daze, which is nice. Yes, so the reason that I triple sleeved is to do outers using these bad boys. so that the art would never deteriorate like they would if you weren't inner sleeving them. But the deck is thick. It's a thick boy. So here's the box, and then if you look at the it's quite chunky. So it's only 60 cards. Evan, I feel like you would have this issue with Urion playing 80, but there we go. It's quite thick, but it's, I like the yeah, the sleeves are pretty cool, how it's like old school. Oh, priority's mine? Oh, that's a nice little win. Yeah, these ones are quite hard. Oh, outer sleeves, I believe Broccoli is the brand. All right. Here we go. Blood Moon. Blood Moon from the Dark is sick. The correct choice, in my opinion. So there's the Dread. So they have the Dread, they have the Oracle. Maybe they're wondering if they sack the creatures and I swords the Oracle in response, with it having 0, do they have to get down to 0? Teeg is just that little bit annoying, which I kind of like. I really don't want to play the ley lines, just because they do have other ways of winning, of course. Okay. Happy to keep this. Let's go Bayou. Then we can double spell. I guess if I go Noble, then I have all my colors online next turn, which means I could also Thalia off the top. But if I get to go next turn, Wasteland, I guess, Thoughtseize into Wasteland into Ignoble. That'd be pretty sweet. Start with Thoughtseize. I think here we just take the Illusionist as it's one piece of the combo. Interesting they didn't just turn one Ponder. Maybe they wanted to hold up the days. I will play the Wasteland and then I will Ignobled. Yeah, Harry, a huge congratulations on your, I'm going to say top 8 with... I could sandbag the Wasteland, but I wanted to get it in play in case I draw another. And it also means that it puts them in a weird position where they might have to daze the Ramunap. Make me tap the Wasteland. Which I don't really mind because I'm going to get the Windswept back. All right. Like, knowing that they have 2 Wastelandable... If these were fetches, I think I would change it up, but knowing they at some point probably have to play either of these, I'm pretty happy. I am going to get rid of this. I thought... Interesting. Yeah, I'm happy to hit it with the trigger on the stack. It just means I can't cast anything like a Shuko. We still know about the days. I could really put them back by green sunning for Cub if we still have one. We don't. That's fine. I think that I'm happy with Surveil Land. But yeah, I definitely understand your reasoning behind sandbagging the Wasteland. But if the opportunity arose where I could double Wasteland in one turn, that'd be pretty sweet. Another Ponder. I now have Renegade Rallier. Put that on top. All right. Land, fetch. Probably just get the Scrubland. Trigger, Wasteland. Attack for 2. We're in. No shuffle. Oh, but no land? Interesting. Guess we attack first. I think if I was going to play Magicon, I would play Naya Depths. It's a little bit quicker. It has a very... It's a lot more consistent I win button. And I think cards like Crop Rotation are pretty well positioned in just the way that it allows you to find a pretty nice mix of answers. And experience. Time with the deck as well is pretty huge. Okay. I think we actually take the Brainstorm here because it does allow them to dig, even though we have the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah. Even though we have the Bowmaster. Do they keep? No, Narcomoeba. Boom. That's kind of cool. It does buy them a turn because I don't really want to Bowmaster this Narcomoeba. Unless I do. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I deal with this, put them to 11, we then attack 5, put them down to 6. They untap, play a Narcomoeba, they just chump. Maybe they play a land drop, they play the Nomads, and then they have, like, they can find another Cephalid. So I think we just have to try to get through this. Oh, they don't block. Ah, maybe they want to try to... No. Interesting they didn't block. That's... I didn't expect that. I kind of thought the plan of the Narcomoebas might have been to fog. But maybe they have something else up their sleeve. Brainstorm. Oh, that could be pretty good for us. Hit this. And now hit them. I think that'll put them in a really tough position. Where even if they have one blocker, we'll have a 4/4 and then 4. And they're taking 3 going to 4. So they need something like lands, swords, and a blocker. But maybe my opponent has something up their sleeve, so... To be fair, they do have the prismatic ending on the token. Which saves some face. Nice. Getting that full value. Cephalid and Grixis. Bowmaster there really showing its power. Acolyte with the thought process. I love it. Yeah, it's very true. With the Narcomoebas gone, it'll be a lot harder to be able to potentially dread into a win. I'm not sure if they have another way. That if they're naturally drawn to... Yeah, I don't think that it's time. They don't have the time to set up potentially another way to win. Does anyone else have a really bad habit of, if a deck is at a deck, just shuffling it? Whenever I lend out my decks, I always come home and then sort them by convert mana cost again. But then sometimes I'll just be working and then take them out and start shuffling them and be like, oh, I just sorted these. Tough. Shuffling is cool. I would say sorting is where it's at. I love sorting more than playing. But hey, if you enjoy content, I'm going to be coming back a lot more consistently, which is nice. I have an article in the mix. I am obviously streaming right now, a Sunday morning for me. Sunday mornings and Thursday nights will be my go-to. So looking forward to, getting back to more consistent content. And then also YouTube exclusive content with time cut down. So edited content, which I'm looking forward to as well. Just because obviously streaming content and YouTube content is very different. And I think it's worth doing, putting the effort in to cut down some of the content for YouTube. Where it's just me and the camera. So a lot more focus, which is nice as well. All right, MTGO Ouphe. Big fan of this hand. I do like this hand. I'm happy to keep this. Big fan of this person's name as well. Is there a good stabilizing anti-aggro card for Green Sun Zenith? Why Ooze of a Raccoon? The life gain. I felt like the life gain was more important to me than the threat of the Raccoon. But I do really like the Raccoon. I've just been seeing a little bit more Delver come back, and against Delver, I really like having some way to gain life. Bowmaster. Okay. I'm gonna try to Bowmaster back. I want to Bowmaster back because of the Cradle. Potentially next turn I could double spell. Force. Barrogoyf's cool. Again, not a green creature, which I find tough trying to fit them into the deck. What do I want to do here? I think we're playing the Thalia, just a little bit too annoying for them. Ah, they pick up their own. Should have thought about that. That's pretty cool. Nice. Oof. Probably the Ooze? Interesting. I think here we want to double spell. It might even be just saving the ooze for now. Trying to see if one of these gets traded with a Swords to Plowshares. Only the one white, so potentially a wasteland off the top could do some good. We're definitely not blocking a 2/2. Wow, interesting. I would have thought potentially an attack there would have been free because I'm definitely not blocking a 2/2 in the face of open mana and cards because of another Bowmaster blowing me out. Play this to see what's up. Okay. I'll put that on top. I'll play the ooze. There's no great attacks here. I think here I'm just happy to eat some of the yard in case of a Murktide. I assume they're not a Murktide deck, but... There's also the thought of like, is Wasteland good enough here? I'm happy to eat the Dryad Arbor because the other two I can get back with Renegade Rallier. Happy to take them off the white. Oof. I guess, yeah, I should have thought about this turning on the clue as well. Definitely this is just me rushing a little bit and not really thinking about what I'm keeping off the table. I really feel for Gaddock Teeg, knowing that he's tried so hard to keep 4-mana walkers off the table, and Kaido's just like, you know what? I can come in. I can, I don't really care about you, old man. I like the Kaya. I like the Thoughtseizers. I like the Carpets. That's probably it. Collector Ouphe. Knight. Probably 2 mana dorks. Keep the Ignoble because of black mana. Talon Gates I kind of like. Cub's kind of cool because it makes a bunch of different threats. Could be a swords. Yeah, maybe just the early birds. One lander, tough. Put back the Cradle. Probably happy to once down the line. Hey Finn Dorsal, welcome. Hope you're doing well. I'll let them have the once. Oh my gosh. Get the Lush. I think for now I'll put Teeg away. I'm just trying to think of like... Yeah. Why not? Keeps Force off the board, potentially Prismatic. It is just a threat that can potentially deal 2. Hey Bruce, thank you for the follow. Hope you're doing well. I probably want to save these just for now. It's tough because even a fetch land could be Orcish Bowmasters. Sack the Teeg. I mean, this is probably a matchup where I would love to see choke, but I think the carpets just make the other matches a little bit better. We do have Dryad Arbor, just in case of another sack effect. Okay. Ooh. Grist would be kind of cool. I think this has to be Grist. Endurance in the bin. Tough. Definitely not a lot of tools for this matchup. A lot of removal, a lot of creatures that give obviously a lot of value. Very hard to kind of keep up. I think you probably need heavy hitters like Choke. Yes. I kind of hope they crack the clue end step. Not going to do anything. I think we can call it there. Tough. Definitely, yeah, I would say 3-color control is typically not a match that I'm going to fight too much for in terms of board. But I think there's some cards that cross over nicely, like Thoughtseize is cool. Carpet probably more against the Delver decks where you have Wasteland as well. I'd probably rather Choke in that sort of matchup. I like Thoughtseize because it gives me a bit more control over what they can cast, and then also giving me an idea of what to cast, or when to play Wasteland, what to Wasteland. I think the information's really good. And a lot of spells these days, if you can do a 1-for-1 trade, then not allowing them to hit the board is where you want to be. I'm happy to see where this goes. Thoughtseize also allows you to have some protection for your threats. Thoughtseize first and then cast. Preordain. What's your reasoning? What's odd about Thoughtseize to you? Bauble. Okay. This could be a Delver deck. Potentially one of the new Cutter versions. I'm happy to go Bayou here because it allows us next turn potentially to Bowmaster and also Wasteland. Days. Hmm. Yeah, the tough thing is if you rely on threats, then things like sweepers out of the board can be pretty tough, and that's where hand disruption can be nice, knowing how much to actually play to the board. I think I'm happy just to pass with the Bowmasters up. Yeah, fourth or a Lingus. Yeah. In my opinion, Thoughtseize allows you to play a little bit at instant speed and that you get to play or have some impact on your opponent's turn. Yeah. Sadly, I think in 2025, you just can't not care about what your opponent's doing. And Thoughtseize is a great way to do that. Play the Ouphe because it might turn off baubles. And then next turn, hopefully we can once maybe find an endurance. Interesting to care about the Ouphe. Okay. One card left. I'm happy just to swords this now. Play the Liberator. Play the Cradle. Probably the best thing Liberator can be is a Grist target. Ooh. Pretty happy to block and then before damage take this out. Ooh. They have one card. Get back Wasteland. Wasteland. Shuffles. Bauble. No great blocks. Swords is pretty good. We'll get the Windswept Heath because we want to hold up Dryad Arbor. I could also tap like this for the once, and if we find a Orcish Bowmasters, that's pretty sweet. Attack. We have Lush to get end step, if not Dryad Arbor. Okay. Like the Path, like the Dismember, like the Gaea, like the Carpets. Teeg can come out. The Ouphe can most likely come out. I don't mind keeping the Liberator. A Knight can come out. One Hierarch. It could even be just one Knight. I kind of see the Cubs as the beaters here, and Ramunap and Renegade Rally getting back Wasteland kind of act like a Knight as well. Just to keep my CMC down a little bit. Happy with there. We don't have green mana, which is pretty tricky. We obviously have a lot of good outs for green mana, but I don't want to get caught in a position where we just don't draw green, so one mana with Carpet and Ignobled. I'll keep it. The Scryb Ranger right now doesn't do a whole lot that I'm happy for it to potentially be a Green Sun's target. Would love to see a Ponder, but I don't know if we'll get that. Okay. And then land into Ignobled would be nice. I want to try to hide the Carpet for one more turn. Okay. Well then I'll just jam the Carpet. Okay. The outcome there would be second main play the Hierarch, which I think is just too good not to pass up. But the Nurturing Peatland here really hurting. Especially against Delver. Interesting. Okay. I think here I'm happy just to pass back with removal up. Could also be endurance that they think about. Grafdigger's Cage is not the biggest worry. Happy just to pass back. Ooh. Green Suns is currently turned off. I wouldn't mind drawing a card here, seeing that we have the Carpet. Bit of a weird game. I'm just trying to be patient to not throw things away that I don't need to. Unable to scream. Enchant creature. Do I want a Bowmaster in response and kill it to then get it back with the Renegade Rallier potentially? Maybe. Especially while they can't brainstorm or ponder here while the Thalia is in play. I can also return this to hand with Karakas, which is kind of cool. Nice. I'll go for Lush. Put that in the bin. Rallier. Trigger. Probably just the Bowmaster. Grafdigger's Cage, of course. I should have got the land. I should have got the land. Of course. Apologies. That's on me. We even talked about this. We even talked about this. Maybe a Force of Vigor isn't the worst if this is where the kind of matchup goes towards like Grafdigger's Cage and enchantments and other artifacts. Ooh, okay. Nice. Bolt me. Wow. see if I can swords it. Untap this, return this. One, two. I think I'm just going to get endurance here to keep like a Murktide off the field. I was thinking about Grist tick down, but I don't think that does enough. Wow, okay. Nice. Well, we're back on the money. Very interesting. Yeah, cut is really interesting. I can see where it can get out of hand pretty quickly, but I think Maverick just, thankfully, has some pretty big bodies already that can allow us to block pretty effectively. This is a one-lander, which I think in general, I just don't like keeping, sort of, I don't want to see where it goes. I think it's just good not to keep one-landers. Okay. Happy to keep this. Probably bottom the Scrubland and then use the maybe bottom the Savannah. That way we can use the Verdant to get Lush to then make sure we draw into our third land if we really want it. And then we have a black source already in Scrubland. Yeah, I think we go Verdant Pass, Lush, untap, most likely Thalia. Keep bottom this. Basic Forest. Enchantress? I was thinking Enchantress for a second. Okay. This definitely makes me just want to go for Savannah into swords. Just to keep them off their mana as much as possible. Then we get to untap and Thalia. Hey Legacy Club, a huge thank you. Hope you're doing well. What did you play and how did you go? And welcome all of those from Florida Legacy Group. I feel like this is going to be Cradle control. Which I think our best draw would be Green Suns for Gaddock Teeg, but we can't because of Thalia. Tough. Okay, that means they can't natural order this turn, which is nice. They also don't have a cub, or else they would have played the cub first into land. They're thinking of the attack, but they don't. Now we really need to find removal for this white. That's not it. But they could do a thing where they block and then get rid of a endurance in hand. I assume Hoof. Atraxa. Okay. Obviously still really good. We have to board. Gaea, Dismember, Path, probably Thought Seizers. I think that'll just do more than... anything else. Yeah. Path. Thoughtseize I'll think about. Dismember Gaea. Ouphe. Thalia. Teeg I don't mind. Outland. The endurances are nice at just keeping some of their creatures low. I don't mind something like this. Yeah, really want to be trading their creatures one for one. Obviously, Bowmaster is pretty exceptional. It doesn't hit Reclaimer, but it hits most of their other mana dorks, if not all. And as hard as it is, trying to keep them off 4 mana. A little bit too fair. I think we can do better. Okay. Okay, this is actually pretty good. We'll keep this and we'll bottom the Renegade Relia. And then we get to go turn 1 Ignoble, turn 2 Scryb Ranger, untap return, play the Bowmaster. Okay. That's pretty nice. So 1, 2, this. Untap this, return this. Play this. Swords this. Attack for 1. I feel like Scrub Ranger is going to do a lot for us this game in terms of managing our mana efficiently, because we currently have access to 4 mana next turn, which is pretty great. Okay. Okay, so if we untap the Ignobled here, returning this to hand, we can then dismember 1, untap, and then we have 1, 2, 3 mana to play Gaea as well. So untap, return. Dismember. Untap. Land. That doesn't change things, I think, because I might want to deal with a white of the Reliquary. So let's go black, white, untap this, return this. Black, Gaea. Exile this. Attack. Misty could be Dryad Arbor. They could also fetch for a black source and play a white. Yep. Land. Swords this. Tick up on these 2. Attack. And then in their turn, I can hold up the Bowmaster thanks to the Scryb Ranger. Or use the once. Okay. I could just untap here, but if we use the Ignobled and Scryb, we get to use the once, which I kind of like. So let's go green, untap this, return this. I'm using it because if I find Wasteland, it's an answer to Dryad Arbor without using the Orcish Bowmasters. There's the Wasteland. Play the Wasteland. Attack for 2. Exile these 2. No end of turn fetch. I guess if they just have land, fetch Dryad Arbor, and then cast Natural Order. Oh, they're just going to play it. I think then... I am just going to deal with this right now in attack phase. Because they can't Natural Order, thankfully, with this mana. They need a creature in play as well. Yeah, well, the issue was if they played say a forest, they could then fetch for Dryad Arbor, and then they just have priority, and then they could cast Natural Order, sacking Dryad Arbor as part of the cost. But luckily that didn't happen. Now they're going to fetch.
Grab? Yep.
Oof. Oof. Black green. 4 mana. What is this? Snuff out. Okay. Yeah, the door upstairs closed because of the wind and it sounded like an earthquake. One Dryad. What's this? I think here I'm pretty happy to trade with it. Gaea minus is dealing 9. Are these all? Yeah, these are all from... Deals damage to the target player equal to the number of cards that player owns in exile, and you gain that much life. 1, 2, 3, yeah, 9. Okay, very close. Okay. Ooh, Talon Gates is pretty cool. So if they have endurance, I feel like here we just want to hold up Talon Gates for their upkeep. So we just want to exile one more card. Pass with Talon Gates open. And then Kai Rolti. That's fine. I don't need to do this Talons, but nice. All right. Tricky. I kind of think about the Knight just because of Talon Gates as a way to keep a creature off the field. Yeah, the rare Gaea ult for lethal. Scryb Ranger there as well just did so much work. It could just be a Green Suns. No, I think there's enough Green Suns targets that actually want to hit like a Teeg. It might just be a land, honestly. Let's have a quick think. I could just see a fetch land coming out. 23 lands with 3 Once Upon a Times is still pretty great. No black mana, but we do have a bit of a plan in Wasteland Dismember that I don't mind it. Okay. I don't mind just swords here. Quick think. Dismember might not be able to deal with a big white of the Reliquary or of course of Traxxas, so maybe I actually just use the Dismember here and now. And now I'm pretty happy to go for Bayou into Thoughtseize. Take a natural order if possible. Okay, well they have a few natural orders, so I guess we don't take any. Is that how we're going to play this game? We take none and just try to keep them off as much as possible. Okay. Okay. At least either of these for us are pretty good. I feel like the Cub might just be a little bit better in that it attacks a lot easier. Yeah. It also would allow me to Wasteland the same turn. Okay. I will play the Wasteland this turn because we know about the Bayou. And thankfully they can't have like land and Grist because they're looking at the top. All right. Wow. Sack this. Swords this. I think actually drawing a card with Nurturing Peatland might be the way to go. 14. Yeah, I think I'd rather just hold up mana and also churn something. Nice. I'm trying to think if Cub is just lethal next turn, potentially. Or potentially what we want to do is Noble attack for 7, put them down to 9. And then next turn, if they play a creature, we have access to Green Suns for Grist. Get rid. Teeg is also pretty interesting. Teeg, I don't have to worry about just yet. So I think I kind of like attack. Teeg also turns off Snuff Out at this point of the game as well. Yeah, it's a tricky one for them. They could try to endurance us. But I think our plan of just keeping them off threats and then obviously going for Teeg. We do not have Questing Beast. Teeg. Right. It's tough because we get to Talon Gates out, a blocker, and attack with Teeg for lethal. Yeah. The old man. The old man. Very cool. Well, we finished 4-1, which isn't too bad. We got 2-1 Cradle, 2-0 Delver, 0-2 Esper Control, 2-1 Nadu Breakfast, 2-1 Grixis Tempo. I think if anything, I did like the carpets, but I kind of want to have both carpet and choke, if that's maybe too much. I do love Thoughtseize. As just a player who loves to have information, Thoughtseize for me is fantastic. And I think it's great at like sequencing lands, knowing when to wasteland, knowing which Green Sun's target you need to get fetched first. Ley lines didn't really come up. If anything, we would have liked to have seen something else that's a little bit more softer, I guess, for Cephalid and also for Delver. But yeah, everything kind of played a role. Like Cub at times did seem like a pretty big threat. Maybe I don't need 2. Maybe 1 is just a Green Sun's target is fine. And then I could potentially have another piece of removal or interaction in my main deck, which would be kind of nice. But overall, like the mana wasn't too bad. It's only 1 league, but yeah, it was really fun. And I'm going to go enjoy my weekend. So a huge thank you to all of you for coming in and watching. A big thank you to the new followers and subscribers. I will be back maybe tomorrow. It's a public holiday, so there might be a stream there, but typically Thursday nights for me, which I believe is typically Thursday mornings in America, and then Sunday mornings for me, which is Saturday nights in America, is where I want to start to come back with more consistency, which is nice. But that's me. I'm going to see who else is streaming. I think LobsterCon should still be going. Nice. Which is a pre-modern event out of North America. So definitely enjoy that. I know I'm probably going to go watch some myself. So thank you very much again. And have a great weekend. And we'll catch you soon. Cheers.